All right, guys, let's say I wanted to take this box that I have right now and I wanted to uh, add another component that makes a T, and it makes this turn into like a capital T. But I want it to be something where, like in the real world, if I were to try to put the pieces together, they would hold firm. So maybe I would make some sort of slot in here in the top and then a peg that comes down from the other piece to fit in there. Well, if I want to do that, here's kind of an easy way to accomplish that. I'm going to first make a hole in here. Okay, and I want to make sure this thing is actually centered there. So a couple things I could do. First of all, I could go back actually to my extrude one, and instead of making it blind, I could make it symmetric. And that way, that front plane is going right through it. And when that front plane is going right through there, it's going to help me a ton to be able to do some symmetry stuff. So I'm going to leave that like that. Now I'm going to do my sketch on the top plane, view normal to that. And I'm going to create a center point rectangle. All right, so right there. And I want this slot to be, let's see, half of that dimension, which I believe is the, okay, so half the dimension, that's the front. So that's half the width. So I'm going to do 0.5 times my width variable. I already have some variables set up. Uh-oh, I may have not typed that in correctly. 0.5, there we go. All right, and then I want this other dimension to be half the depth dimension, so 0.5 times my depth variable. All right, check that. All right, so I have a nice little slot there in the middle. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude that, make myself a little bit of a hole. So I'm going to do a remove, and sure, we'll do a depth of 1 inch. I could do it further if I wanted to. All right, so we'll do 1 inch. Perfect. So I got a hole there now. So now if I want to make another part in the same studio and just make sure everything lines up, I'm actually going to create a sketch on this top plane. And I'm going to sketch right over top of that hole that I just made. All right, so I'm going to go from there to there. Now, no matter what I do in this part that I'm about to make, it's going to be locked into the same slot size. So I'll show you how that's cool in a second here. Let me finish that sketch. Okay, we're going to have to extrude this in a couple parts, so I'm actually going to extrude that down. And I want to go, I'm actually going to choose up to next. So it's always going to go right to that surface right there. Let's make sure that's working. Oops, and I forgot to make that a new part instead of an add part. All right, so there we go. So that's going all the way through. If I want to, I can come down to my little browser here and change my appearance settings so that I can see through that first box. There we go. And so now I can actually see that that part's going down there. Okay, so now I'm going to create another sketch on this top plane. All right, and I'm trying to make a T. So I'm going to start a point for my rectangle. I want to try to be horizontal from that point. So I'm going to go out here, and I'm going to make, if I just hover over that and then come out this way, then I know for sure it's going to go out that direction. All right, and so if I want to make this T look really nice, maybe I want, I don't know, we'll find out. Maybe I want it to be the same as the height of this box. So I'm going to make that dimension equal to my height. Oh, that looks pretty small. I don't know if I like that. So maybe I'll do 1.5 times my height in just a little bit. And then this other one, we want that to be exactly the depth, I think. Oh, it's already locked in, sorry. All right, so since that's already locked in, I actually don't need that variable. So this can still move, right? So if I actually move this, that can move back and forth, so that's not good. And I also said I wanted to change that dimension and make it maybe like 1.5 times the height. Okay, so then if I want to center this, then I could easily make a midpoint here. So I'm going to start by making a point on the midpoint of this line right there. And then I am going to have that point and the front plane, I want those to be coincident with each other. Locked it in. Nice. Okay, so now that's all locked in. Everything turned black, so I know I can't really move anything. So I'm going to hit the check mark. I'm going to extrude that top piece, all the parts of it, and I want it to, including that part right there, and I want it to merge with that second part right there. So I'm going to choose and add, and I want my merge scope to be part 2. All right, so there's a check. So now I have my top part, my bottom part. If I don't like the thickness of that T right there, then that's going to be probably, I'll want that to be the same as my depth. Not my depth, my, maybe that's the width. All right, so I'll go back into my extrude and now width is currently 6. Yeah, I want my depth. So that looks, okay. And it probably looks a little bit over the top. So maybe I would choose to make that extrusion a little more like 2/3 of the depth or something like that. That looks a little bit more reasonable. Cool. So now I have 2 pieces that fit together. And if I put them into an assembly, I'm just starting assembly here real quick. All right, so if I insert, I'm going to go to that part studio right there. If I insert that whole thing in here, there's that. Both pieces come in, but they're not grouped together yet. So I can actually move that in and out, but I could also tell that it fits. So if I did, for instance, a slider mate, all right, and I chose the middle of the bottom of that and the top of that, then and I guess I could also set some limits there. So my Z maximum is going to be 0. So I can pull that out and in. If I fix this part, all right, that would go out and in and snap right in there. All right, really cool.